everybody, Anthony Dodge, the American Outsider. Welcome to episode 6 of series 2. Although calling this the American Outsider today might be a bit of a misnomer because we're not going to talk about American per se. We're going to talk about a new locomotive from the company Brawa. Now, Brawa is a German company from the southwest part of Germany, like American is, the state of Baden-Württemberg. Brawa makes excellent locomotives. They don't make garbage. Like any company, you might find a lemon in the patch somewhere, but Brawa makes really high quality locomotives. They're a highly respected company. And they make things both for the AC 3-rail American system as well as DC 2-rail. Now, this is the second Brawa locomotive I now own, but it's the first one I have bought. The first one I owned was a gift from my wife, which she got for me Christmas of 2016 or 2017, I forget which was a Class 146 ICE-2 locomotive, which has been replaced by my American version of this. And not because this was a bad model. This is an awesome model. In terms of quality comparison, the American, which was a very high-end American locomotive in this one, functions are the same, details are very equal. The reason I wound up buying the American was twofold. Number one, it is the exact running number of an IC2 locomotive that pulled the IC2 train Joyce and I rode from Delmenhorst to Leipzig in 2019. And so also the second reason is its sound functions. One of its sound function is the station announcement arriving at Delmenhorst. In German, of course, but it says arriving at Delmenhorst. Had to get it. So anyhow, quick story behind buying this one. Now this is, we'll see if that quickly focuses in. This is the 42913 AC 3-rail version of a Class 245 locomotive. Class 245 means it's diesel. So I've now increased my diesel fleet by 1. Brawa makes excellent product for the American 3-rail system. But again, I have stayed away from Brawa at times for price. But I finally decided I wanted a Class 245 diesel, and the American version, which came out about 5 years ago, has been impossible to find. There's a cheap Pico version I just steer away from. And I had a little extra money, so I decided to splurge and get the Class 245. Now, Brawa does something unique among the train companies. When they make things for American, Brawa still does the card. Now, the programming card. Basically, this card has all the information of the decoder on it. So instead of putting the locomotive on the programming track and either programming it yourself or having the American system read the decoder, all American devices have a little slot here. This is something American was doing a while ago. This is the Mobile Station 2, the handheld controller. And you can see there's a slot there. And all you do is you just pop this card in, and it automatically, like in a second, loads the information from this card about the train, and everything's in it. The train is ready to run. I will do this on here, but I'll probably turn around and delete it, because the one thing it's going to do is Brawa presets all their locomotives to address 3. So what happens is when I pop this card in, you'll see how quickly it loads it. And I want to make sure this is on an empty space. Yep. So it says, if you can see that, it says no loco. No loco is there. So what's going to happen is when I pop this card in here, it's going to say, you already have a loco at that address. Do you want to go ahead and load this? And basically you'll say yes, because you're going to go in and then change the address. But we'll watch you how quick this happens. If I can get this to focus in. Yes. Boom. There it is. It's loaded. it'll do the same thing on my Central Station 3. Miraklin does these cards, and what is cool about doing these cards, although it really never exploded, although if you go to German clubs, yes, a lot of guys have these cards, and Brawa is the only other company that every loco comes with a preloaded card for the Miraklin system. Roco doesn't do it. Roco just makes MFX readable things, so you put the loco on your programming track and the Central Station 3 just automatically reads it. Pico does the same thing. But Miraklin did this for clubs so that if you want to take your locos to a show and you're going to run them on somebody else's layout, rather than have to manually program it or whatever, or put it on the track and get it read, you could write, and every Miraklin device gives you the option of write your loco to a card. You can buy packs of these cards really cheap, although this specifically is from Brawa. You just go to the club, pop it in the Central Station 3 or the mobile station, whatever controller they're having. Bam, your locomotive is instantly loaded even before you put it on track, so it's good to go, no problems. It just never really seems to have caught on, at least in the American side of the hobby. I do know a lot of German sites where a lot of the guys have their cards, but for the most part, really, Brawa is the only company for Miraklin product that still includes a card. Roco never included the card. Pico never included the card. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load this up, and I do have to change the address. I'm not going to bother putting that on camera. I showed you with the mobile station, but I'm going to have to change the address, and I'll do that off camera, and then we'll go ahead and look at the locomotive. Okay, so I've got my Central Station 3 displayed on my computer monitor. It makes it a little easier to film, and I don't get the light reflection glare I do when I try to do the Central Station 3. So this comes with 16 sound and light functions. Okay, we did change its name. You can see it's down here. I changed it. It usually comes up as tracks because that's a generic term for the type of locomotive. It's sort of the company that makes it. And so I changed its name to BR245 because that's what it is. I might change its name again when I decide to give it a route number. I changed its address from 3 to 45. Since it's a 245, I just changed its address to 45. That'll help me keep it straight. All right, so here's a close-up of that 245. I've got the lights on. We'll go through the functions in a second, but give you a nice close-up. This is an all-metal case and chassis. Although this comes in at about 470 grams, so it's not as heavy as those two new Miraklins, nor is it as heavy as the Class 146.5 Brawa that I showed earlier, the one Joyce bought me a few years ago, which comes in at about 520 grams. So this is a little bit lighter, which is interesting as it's a diesel, and diesels tend to be heavier. But lots of fine detailing to be expected from a Brawa. All the little signage, the little bits. And again, diesels don't have, at least German diesels, don't have a lot of fancy equipment showing on the top. But you can see the horns separately molded. Metal, even the little metal door handle frames. If we can get a closer look, you can look at the printing, how crisp and clear that is all the way along the bottom. Even some of the wiring and hosing, offset colors, very sharp all the way around. A nice locomotive, separately fitted windshield wipers. And there is a bag of accessories to add more. I tend not to add them. If I have to add them, I worry I will break them off. And I'm not a rivet counter enough to have every hose on, and so I tend not to add the accessories that come in the accessories kit, and it does come with quite a bit. In fact, I will hold the bag in front of you. There's my bag of accessories and add-on hoses, as well as the one accessory I do have to add, which is the couplers. So, lights on, lights off, cab light on. I don't know how well you see that. Cab light on and off. Your long distance lights, fog lights. I love the little delay on it. It's a cool little bit. Let's do directional lighting. So we'll change, and there we go. Nicely done. Check the horns. Long horn, short horn. Run through the fans. So we're going to have to run this guy in. So let's get him run in, and then when he's run in, we will come back. So the 245 has been run in. And one thing to mention about Brawa before I do just a quick view of this running is Brawa locomotives have built-in build-up and slowdowns. In other words, it will power up and slowly gain speed up to the set speed that you want it to run at. Naturally, just like a realistic one, you don't have to do any special settings or power it up. You want it to eventually run at 100 kilometers or 70 miles an hour, whatever you want it to run at. You just set it at that speed, and it will slowly speed itself up to that point and do it realistically. Now, I've attached it to the same cars that I had the Class 143 on. Now, normally a 245 would be pulling the double-decker Regio bonds, but I already have these cars out. It's a good test. We'll let it run around and see how it handles the incline, because, of course, some of you that watch this channel, that's the big challenge for me, is how does it handle the incline. So let's go ahead and get it going. And we will, whoops. It will slowly get up to speed. So here it goes on its first trip up the incline. Let's see if there's any slowdown. Now, this was measured at about 460 kilograms. And really, no real noticeable, maybe a bit there. But nothing to complain about, considering many of my locos do not like that incline. And again, that incline is only about 2.5%, maybe 3% incline. It's supposed to be 2%, but it seems to measure a little higher than that. But you can hear it slowly starting to get to speed. I have it running at the equivalent of 60 miles an hour. scale speed equivalent, 60 miles an hour. And again, my layout's not a really fancy layout. You know, a lot of people give this a thumbs down because they don't like the layout. But I'm here looking at the locomotive, not what I'm running it on. But it's got a nice long run. Going through what will eventually be the Bremen-Hanover side. So here it comes on its second pass up that incline. And the incline starts right about there. So again, you'll see there is a bit of a slowdown, but nothing to be upset about, considering the weight of those cars. Those are ESU N-Verkehr passenger wagons. Speeds up through the Delmenhorst train station. And we'll get one more passing shot here of the 245 running through. Well, there you had a look at my Brawa Class 245, BR245 locomotive, a recent release from Brawa, my second Brawa locomotive. And again, Brawa never fails to impress with the details, whether it's what they add to the locomotive in terms of attachments and detail on the machinery, the vehicle itself, or the numbering, the lettering, decals, warning stickers, and everything else that you would see on an actual locomotive. And it comes with the usual Brawa tricks, including for AC, the loading card, and the built-in powering up and slowing down braking. You don't have to worry about programming that. It does it automatically. It does a very realistic build up to speed, and when you slow it down to 0, it slows itself down at a very, very realistic. Brawa prides itself on that. So a great locomotive. It came in at, I believe it was 464 grams, which is about 40 grams less than the new Class 43 and about 120 grams less than that new Class 101. As we saw, there was a little bit, just a little bit of slowdown going up that back incline on the layout. Am I going to criticize it for that? No, because it actually handled it very well. I mean, it is going uphill, so you might expect a little bit of slowdown. The 101, you see no slowdown because that is such a powerful and well-built locomotive. This Brawa is clearly a well-built locomotive, but it's has a little less weight. Now, both bogies are powered. It has traction wheels on both powered bogies. So there's really no reason, even at its lighter weight, it can't handle that incline. And it did, okay? No criticisms there. I personally would like to not see any kind of a slowdown, but the slowdown we saw going up was minuscule. Will that get worse over time? Only time will tell. So in conclusion, I think I'm going to be happy with it. I've wanted a Class 245 for a long time, and I've got one, and hopefully it will continue to run well for the long run, because it is a really nice locomotive. It's another diesel. I think that brings my diesel fleet up to 2 diesel locomotives and then 2 DMUs. So I hope you enjoyed this look at my Brawa Class 245, and if you did, hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and until my next episode, I'm going to say Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.